Welcome to Ping 24 Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The news hit like a thunderclap. Philippines rejects US F-16 deal. It was a headline that no one expected, sending shockwaves through diplomatic and military circles alike. Headlines blared from Manila to Washington, D.C. as the world tried to make sense of the sudden reversal. Newsrooms buzzed with speculation and analysts scrambled to interpret what this meant for the region. For months, the deal was seen as a symbol of the alliance between the two nations. A done deal, many thought. It was supposed to be a testament to decades of partnership and shared security interests. The Philippines, under pressure in the South China Sea, needed modern jets. The threat of regional conflict loomed large, and the need for advanced air power was urgent. The U.S. was ready to provide its legendary F-16SS, aircraft renowned for their speed, agility, and combat record. It seemed like the perfect solution to the Philippines' defense needs. The stage was set for a grand ceremony, but inside Camp Aguinaldo, tension filled the air. Behind closed doors, uncertainty and debate replaced celebration. Phones rang, journalists scrambled, and diplomats demanded answers. The sudden halt left everyone searching for explanations, as rumors swirled about the real reasons behind the decision. This wasn't just about buying jets, it was a statement. The contract represented more than hardware. It was about sovereignty, strategy, and the future direction of the nation. The Philippines was signaling to the world, we're charting our own course. The message was clear: national interests would come first, even if it meant breaking with tradition. In a high-level meeting, Filipino officials weighed the F-16's power against its staggering costs and complex maintenance. They debated whether the benefits truly outweighed the burdens. Would these jets serve the nation's interests, or create new dependencies? The question lingered, as leaders considered the long-term impact on the country's autonomy and budget. The answer, delivered with quiet resolve, would reshape the country's defense for decades. It was a turning point, marking a new era in Philippine military policy. Disbelief followed. How could the Philippines turn down such a powerful tool? The world watched, stunned, as the story unfolded across every screen and social feed. But for many inside the country, it was a moment of clarity. Ordinary Filipinos saw the decision as a bold step towards self-reliance and a more independent future. The decision wasn't weakness, it was confidence. It showed a willingness to stand firm, even in the face of global expectations and pressure. It prioritized practical needs and long-term sustainability over short-term prestige. The focus shifted to strengthening local capabilities and investing in homegrown solutions. The message: the Philippines would no longer be a passive recipient of foreign hardware. Instead, it would seek partnerships on its own terms, with its own priorities in mind. Now, it was an active architect of its own destiny. The decision marked not just the end of a deal, but the beginning of a new chapter in the nation's story. One defined by independence, resilience, and hope for the future. The F-16 is more than just a jet. It's a global icon of air power, instantly recognizable and respected in skies around the world. Its sleek design and advanced technology have made it a symbol of modern military might, trusted by dozens of nations for both defense and deterrence. For the Philippine Air Force, acquiring F-16S would have been a massive leap forward, a true game-changer. The F-16 is a multi-role fighter, capable of both air-to-air combat and precision ground attack, giving the Philippines a flexible and formidable tool for national defense. This was about more than just hardware. It was about credible deterrence, making any potential aggressor think twice before challenging Philippine sovereignty in the West Philippine Sea. The presence of F-16S would send a clear message: the country is ready and able to defend its territory. For the United States, the deal was equally significant. It reinforced America's network of Indo-Pacific alliances, serving as a counterweight to China's growing influence in the region, and strengthening the security architecture that underpins peace and stability. The F-16S symbolized America's enduring commitment to its allies, echoing the promises made in the Mutual Defense Treaty. They were a tangible sign that the U.S. stood ready to support the Philippines in times of need. These jets were meant to be the next chapter in a long and storied history of military cooperation between the two nations, building on decades of shared training, strategy, and trust. For the Philippines, F-16S promised not just advanced capability, but also prestige and deeper interoperability with U.S. forces. They would allow Filipino pilots to train and operate seamlessly alongside their American counterparts. The F-16S would have filled a glaring gap. After retiring its F-5S in 2005, the country had no supersonic jets for over a decade, leaving its airspace vulnerable and its pilots without modern platforms to fly. The arrival of F-16S was hailed as the long-awaited return to supersonic air power, sparking excitement among military personnel and the public alike. These jets promised to restore the nation's ability to patrol its skies, respond rapidly to threats, and project power over its vast maritime territories, crucial for a country with thousands of islands and extensive sea borders. The deal was, in essence, a promise of renewed strength, national pride, and a future where the Philippines could stand tall among its neighbors. But that promise came with a price, a steep financial cost that would test the nation's priorities and resources. The main reason for rejecting the F-16S was simple: cost. Modern fighters are complex and expensive to maintain, far beyond the initial purchase price. The Philippine defense budget couldn't sustain the long-term financial burden. Defense planners realized that buying the jets was one thing, keeping them flying was another. Committing so much to a single platform would mean sacrificing other critical needs: new armored vehicles, patrol ships, and surveillance equipment. The government faced a choice: a few powerful jets, or a balanced modernization across all forces. The country's immediate challenges, maritime security, counterterrorism, disaster response, required practical, affordable assets. The decision was pragmatic: prioritize what's necessary, not just what's prestigious. True security comes from a force the country can afford and sustain. The dream of F-16S was powerful, but fiscal reality was stronger. Rejecting the F-16S was more than a financial decision. It was a statement of national identity. For decades, the Philippines relied on the U.S. for defense, creating dependency. Saying no was a symbolic act of independence, a desire to build a truly Filipino defense capability. The move fostered pride and self-confidence, channeling the nation's spirit into building a modern, independent state. Relying too much on any single power is a vulnerability. By diversifying and developing its own defense industry, the Philippines becomes a stronger, more capable partner. This was a turning point. The Philippines began to trust in its own ability to forge its path. The decision sent ripples across the Asia-Pacific, quickly becoming a focal point for regional analysts and governments alike. Newsrooms buzzed with speculation, and neighboring countries watched closely, aware that this move could shift the balance of power in subtle but significant ways. In Washington, disappointment was clear, with officials expressing concern over the implications for regional security. Still, they emphasized that the alliance with Manila remained strong, highlighting decades of cooperation and shared interests. The U.S. recognized the need to adapt to Manila's evolving priorities, signaling a willingness to recalibrate its approach and maintain open channels for future collaboration. In Beijing, there was likely quiet satisfaction. Less U.S. hardware in the region fits China's narrative of reducing American influence. Chinese officials saw an opportunity to advance their own interests. China may see this as a chance to improve ties with Manila, offering economic incentives, infrastructure deals, or even its own military hardware to fill the gap left by the U.S. For ASEAN neighbors, the reaction was mixed but largely understanding. Some saw the move as pragmatic, while others worried about the precedent it might set for regional security arrangements. Countries like Vietnam and Indonesia recognized the financial burden of acquiring and maintaining top-tier jets, empathizing with Manila's decision to prioritize economic realities. Many are also modernizing their forces, carefully balancing ties with both the U.S. and China, and seeking to avoid overdependence on any single power. The Philippine decision reinforced a growing trend toward strategic autonomy in Southeast Asia, as nations assert their right to chart independent courses. Smaller nations are no longer passive pawns in great power games. They're making choices that suit their own interests, signaling a new era of agency and self-determination. The move adds a new layer of complexity to regional geopolitics, prompting fresh debates about alliances, deterrence, and the future of security cooperation. It demonstrates that Asian security will increasingly be shaped by sovereign choices, not just the rivalry between great powers, as each nation weighs its own risks and opportunities. The Philippines' decision is a new layer in the region's evolving security landscape, underscoring the dynamic and unpredictable nature of Asia-Pacific geopolitics. Rejecting the F-16S didn't mean abandoning modernization, it opened new doors. Manila began exploring options from other countries, refusing to put all its eggs in one basket. South Korea became a key partner, with the Fa-50PH Fighting Eagle proving effective and affordable. The Philippines is now looking to acquire more Fa-50S and other South Korean hardware. This partnership is a win-win: capable equipment for the Philippines, expanded exports for Korea. Other countries, Sweden, Turkey, Brazil, India, are now potential suppliers. Diversification gives the Philippines flexibility and prevents over-reliance on any one nation. The government is also pushing for technology transfer and local production, building jobs and skills. The ultimate goal: a self-reliant defense industry. The F-16 rejection was a catalyst for this vision. The Philippines is building a defense sector from the ground up. With F-16S off the table, the Armed Forces of the Philippines is adapting. The Fa-50PH is now the Air Force's workhorse, affordable, reliable, and suited to the country's needs. The strategy: build a larger fleet of these jets for effective coverage. The military is also investing in domain awareness, radars, drones, and patrol aircraft. These assets are the eyes and ears of the military, enabling early threat detection and rapid response. The Navy and Coast Guard are getting new ships to protect the country's vast coastline. The focus is on a multi-layered, integrated defense: air, sea, and surveillance working together. This approach is tailored to the Philippines' geography and security challenges. The rejection of F-16S wasn't the end of modernization, it was the start of a smarter, more sustainable strategy. The armed forces is building a force that's modern, practical, and ready to guard the archipelago. Rejecting the F-16S wasn't anti-American, it was about redefining the alliance. The relationship is evolving from patron-client to sovereign partners. The Philippines wants to be a more capable, self-reliant ally. The alliance remains strong. Joint exercises, military aid, and intelligence sharing continue. The foundation is shared values and strategic interests, not just hardware. This move encourages both sides to think creatively, co-developing systems, focusing on what the Philippines truly needs. The alliance can become more dynamic and resilient. The F-16 decision tested the partnership's flexibility, and it passed. This is the start of a new, more balanced chapter in U.S.-Philippine relations. Choosing a different path for air defense marks a new era for the Philippines. It's a defining moment in the nation's journey to independence and self-reliance. The decision will accelerate the growth of the domestic defense industry, creating jobs and innovation. The Philippines can now balance its foreign policy, engaging with the U.S., China, ASEAN, and others on its own terms. The future is one of confidence and purpose, strength rooted in pragmatism and vision. The gamble was calculated based on belief in the Filipino people's ability to shape their destiny. The Philippines is rising, ready to take its place as a sovereign nation in Asia.